Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Ellie here. Today what I wanted to do was I just felt like sitting down and doing my makeup for the day because I found that it's really helped me to feel better and to just get happy while I'm stuck in my house if I just sit down and do my makeup. Specifically, I was going to tell one story that happened to me recently.
That people I've told it to, I haven't ever really talked about it on camera, but I've told them this story and they've said that it's really funny and it's a really good time and it's kind of shocking. Well, okay, it's not that shocking, but it's a funny experience. So I was going to tell that story with you guys.
And do my makeup. If you are a makeup person and you haven't done your makeup for the day or are just sitting around feeling in the dumps, maybe you want to get up and put on some makeup with me, or if you're not a makeup person and you're just here to hear the story, then keep on watching. So this story actually happened to me a few weeks ago.
I don't know. It was the week of school before we got everything called off for quarantine and things like that. So
my school has two annual blood drives every year, and you have to be 16 to donate your blood. And so I had just turned 16, and I had always wanted to donate my blood my whole life. I was really excited about getting the opportunity, so as soon as I found out that we were having a blood drive, I was like, okay, I'm signing up, I'm doing it. I want to donate my blood. It's just something that I've always wanted to experience. So I signed up to do it, and I'd never donated blood before, like I said, so I was pretty nervous, and the day came, and I go, and I wait in line for like an hour, because there's lots of people in front of me, and there can only be so many people in there at one time. So I'm waiting in there for like an hour, and I finally go in, and they get me all checked in and everything, and they check my iron levels, and I'm all set to go, and everything like that. And so what happens is I get in the chair at last, and there's a couple people who are going to be taking my blood that day. There's a young, I would say like in his early 20s male, and then an older woman. And apparently I heard this young man talking to some other people, and he was just finishing his training. Like, he hadn't finished training yet, so this was him trying to show his superiors that he knew what he was doing, and I was the person who he was showing that on. So I was the experiment, I guess, and I'm sure he knew what he was doing. But so he had this older woman standing over him the whole time, making sure he was doing it correctly.
this is unnecessary to the story, okay? Absolutely unnecessary.
They get me in this chair, and they found my vein, and they have me all hooked up and everything, and they stick the needle in my arm.
Which, okay, everybody lied to me. They said that was the easiest part and it didn't even hurt.
That was a lie. It hurt me. I did not enjoy the needle.
So they have it in my arm, and they give me this ball, right? And they're like, squish the ball, squish the ball, squish the ball, and we will, like, the blood will start coming out, and you have to keep like squishing it really hard for 5 seconds, releasing for 5 seconds, squishing hard for 5 seconds, releasing for 5 seconds. And I'm squeezing. The young man, he's like talking to me, and I'm like trying to squeeze the ball, and there's this girl from the basketball team, and she came over and she's holding my hand, and she's so sweet, and I'm being such an overdramatic baby. Okay, I'm gonna go off camera and do my brows really quick, and then we will hop right back in. Alright, brows are on, we are back, and I went ahead and primed my eyes with concealer, so we're ready to go in with shadow. After my first video where I said I did not own any eyeshadow brushes, my sister kindly donated these to me so I can be doing my eyeshadow for real for the first time in forever. Okay, so back to where I was.
I'm in the seat and they have the needle in my arm. I'm squeezing the ball and we're waiting for it to come out. And I'm really nervous. And so this guy, the young man, he knows that I'm super nervous. And so he decides that he will try and make me less nervous by just talking to me.
We talk about like good restaurants in the area, and what I like to do in my free time and things like that. And then he decides that he starts singing, okay, out of nowhere. He just starts humming some tunes, and I think it's country music or something like that. And then he's like,
So what music do you like to listen to?
and since he was singing country music, I'm like, oh yeah, I love country music. And he's like,
Oh yeah? Do you like Josh Turner?
And yes, I like Josh Turner. Me and my family listen to Josh Turner. So I'm like, yes, I love Josh Turner. And he says,
What's your favorite song?
and I said Firecracker, and he was like,
Oh, I've never heard that one before. That must be new.
um, Josh Turner hasn't made music in like a few years. That's not a new song. But it's okay. I let that one slide. I let him slide on that one. And so then I said, do you have a favorite song? I cannot make this up, people. I cannot make this up. He says,
My favorite song is the one that goes, Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low.
and he sings like that song for me right there. And it was an intimate situation. We were face to face, and he's just singing that Josh Turner song to me. So that was kind of a lot. So I was already having just a great time. So at this point, his like supervisor lady has come back over, and she's looking at my arm, and she's looking at the blood going in the tube, and she's like, you gotta keep squeezing that ball, honey. You gotta keep squeezing. It's not doing what we want it to. And I'm like, excuse me, what's happening? And she's like, the blood isn't coming out of you very fast. Like, it's not, the bag's not filling up, and it should be filling up by now. And I'm a little nervous. I'm like, what's happening here?
And so they're looking at it, I keep squeezing for a couple minutes, the young man keeps singing.
And then finally, after a few minutes of the bag not getting filled like it needs to, they pull a third lady to come over. And she comes over, and she's looking at my arm, and she calls them both over, okay? And she points to my arm, and she says, look at that arm. Does that look swollen to you? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Because that's not something you want to hear when you're like hooked up to this machine, like getting your blood drawn, right? And they're like, both of them, the woman and the young man, they're like, yeah, I thought so, but I thought just maybe we had the band on too tight. And the woman that they called over, healthcare professional number 3, she's like,
Hold on, let me get in there.
and so here's my arm. Here's the needle in my arm. And if you're someone who doesn't like blood, doesn't like graphic situations, you might want to just skip through this part because it gets a little messy. And so the needle's in my arm, and she gets in there, and she takes a hold of the needle, and she starts wiggling it. And I'm like,
Excuse me?
and it hurts, guys. I'm sorry. They weren't hurting me. Like, they're professional. But she's like wiggling the needle in my arm, and I'm like, so anyway, then after a couple seconds of her like getting in that needle in my arm, which is in my vein, she's like, oh, yep, here, we got it. Guys, I watched her pull an entire blood clot out of my arm. What? Okay, so anyway, she pulls this blood clot out of my arm, and she's like, oh, I knew it, it's a blood clot. And she puts it on a napkin, and she's like, look, everybody, look at this girl's blood clot. And I'm like, so anyway, then they just start talking to each other, and they're not including me in the conversation. Like, I should be included in the conversation, but no, they're not including me. They're just talking about it, and they're like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna work, we gotta get that needle out of her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what now? They're taking the needle out of me, and they just keep talking, and they're talking about like getting the needle out, how it's not gonna come, it'll just keep clotting, and I have no idea what's going on. And so finally they go around, and they're just making their preparations to take the needle out. I don't know how it works. And I turn to this young guy, and I'm like,
I have no idea what's happening. Can somebody please fill me in?
and he gives me the rundown, right? And he says, okay, here's the situation.
Your blood is too thick.
You just naturally have really, really thick blood. And in my mind, I'm going, okay, well, I know I've been laying on the carbs a little heavy recently, but I don't think that would like damage my blood supply. But anyway, so he's like, you have really thick blood, and it wasn't moving through the machine the way it was supposed to, and it was just gonna keep clotting. And so we can't take your blood, we can't keep pulling it, it'll just be a disaster, so we have to unhook you, and that's that. And I said, well, is that a bad thing? And he goes, no, it just means that if you ever get stabbed, you probably will never bleed out, so you can't die. And I was like, come again? I'm immortal, basically, is what we learned from that. So he tells me I'm immortal and that I can't die because my blood is too thick. And then the ladies unhook me, right? They take the needle out, which also hurts, by the way. And the guy was like, you know, it's fine. It doesn't mean you can never donate blood again. Just next time, make sure you drink a lot of water beforehand. And then the ladies are like, okay, honey, do you want to see how much blood we actually got from you? And so they hold up the bag, and it's like nothing. It's like maybe a tablespoon of blood. It was not a lot. And I was like, okay, well, what are you gonna do with my blood, since like I didn't fill the whole thing? And the lady who's like in charge of everyone, she was like, well, we can't use it, obviously, so we're just gonna have to like dispose of it. And I looked that woman dead in her face, and I said,
Can you put it back in me?
and she went, and I said, can I have it back? And she goes, girl, what, you want to drink it or something? And I said,
Is that an option?
and she said, no, we can't give you the blood back. Like, we're finished. Like, it's going to get thrown away. Thank you. And then she politely asked the girl next to me to escort me to the snack table. So, basically, that's the story. I'm a little bit upset. I kind of want my blood back because obviously they stole it from me, and I'm not going to get it back. But we did learn some good things from this scenario, okay? So let's break it down. What did we learn? 1, I am thick-blooded. I am thick in the blood, but it counts. 2, I am immortal. You know, I've had a lot of people ask me if they can test this theory. You're welcome to try. If you stab me,
I will not die.
I will naturally heal myself in my blood healing qualities. And 3, I probably will never donate my blood again. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try again. We'll see. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that was the story. Are you entertained? I hope you are. I'm not telling you shouldn't go donate your blood. Donating your blood is good, and people need blood. I'm just saying, sometimes your blood might be too thick. I don't expect everyone to be immortal like me, but you might run into those issues. Just be aware that sometimes your blood is too thick. Hey guys, it's Ellie, and I'm editing this video later, and the rest of the footage after this, the story is over, and the rest of the footage is just me rambling on about random things that nobody cares about while trying to finish my makeup. So I'm actually going to cut all that out and just cut the video short and end it here because that was the end of the story that I was trying to tell. I'm sorry if you wanted to see the rest of the makeup. I will do more videos on my makeup looks, so you won't be missing out. Thank you so much. We're just going to cut to the end of the makeup look. Let me know in the comments below if you want to know what products I used. I can sure do that. And then it's just going to cut right to the outro where I show you the look. Thanks. This concludes the makeup look that is entirely too extra for Friday night within my house. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry if this video was a lot. This is the look. It's going to make a great appearance on my online piano lesson today. So, once again, that was a super chill video. Thank you so much for putting up with the fact that it was so chill. I hope you guys are all staying safe and staying home. And I will see you next week with hopefully some better quality content. Thank you.